I am so excited to speak with Chris Corinthian today. 15 years ago, Chris had a successful career in the corporate world as a project analyst, making six figures, when he was suddenly laid off. With zero emergency savings and $48,000 in student loans, Chris felt lost. Hitting rock bottom led Chris to feel overwhelmed by the amount of his student loan debt. And that's where Chris's financial journey begins. His frustration of graduates being saddled with student loan debt has become a lifelong mission for him. He's now the published author of a book called Financial Literacy 101, which delves into how students can graduate debt-free. I am so excited to talk to Chris today about how far he's come in these 15 years and how you can follow in his footsteps. Chris, welcome. I am so excited to talk to you today.
I'm so excited to be speaking with you, Mindy. Thank you so much. I'm just excited about having this conversation with you today.
I think we're going to have a smile contest. You've got a big smile. I've got a big smile. It's going to work out
I know, it's
great.
like we can't help it. Sometimes we're just so excited. We just start smiling, right?
Exactly. Oh, who wants to talk about money? And look at all those smiles. Hey, we're talking about a great story about money. But before we get to the great part, let's go back to the not so great part. What did your financial life look like before you lost your job?
Like you mentioned in the intro, I had this corporate job. I was in my 20s, right? Right there at six figures. And I didn't have any good financial habits at all. And then, we were preparing for a baby. So it was like, all right, let's just get everything for the baby. Let's not worry about savings because I was getting paid every week. So it was like, if I spent the money, I knew that next Thursday evening or next Friday morning, I was getting paid again, right? So it was like, I was just living this fast life. Like I was always going to have access to money. And so that's how my spending habits were. And so, fast forward to, the day after my son was born, we're super excited. Emotions are all over the place. And my supervisor calls me. I look at the phone. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And she said, congratulations on your baby boy. But I'm sorry, we're going to have to let you go.
The day after your baby was born?
Day after, Mindy. I'm talking about a gut punch. But then 2 months later, we're staying in an apartment complex. Girl across the hall, she left the stove on. The whole apartment building went up in flames.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't have a job. I don't have any savings because we were spending all the money on clothes. And guess who didn't have renter's insurance? My personal finance education was just like I was just taught, go to school, get good grades, get a high paying job, and you're successful. And why would I spend an extra $15 on the apartment complex renter's insurance, right? With a home, you have to get insurance, but at the time, with apartment complex, it's not mandatory. So I was like, I'm not wasting $15 on renter's insurance because I'm responsible, right? That's what some people think. They're like, okay, well, I'm responsible, so I'm not going to start a fire. And then we lost everything in the apartment fire.
Wow.
And so, luckily, my wife's parents were able to, clear out a spare bedroom, and we were able to live out of there for 6 months. And it was so bad, Mindy, because we didn't have any money. So Red Cross had to give us a $250 gift card so we can get clothes from Walmart. That devastating moment, I'm probably sure you could tell by now, is what really set me on this path to spread this good news of personal finance, even at the basic level, just to say, get your house in order.
So when did you discover the concept of financial independence? It
was always just this kind of moving thing that was just out there that you would hear about, but you never really, experienced. So you would hear about people that were, doing things for themselves as far as like creating their own businesses, or people who might have been working jobs, but they were taking the extra money and then investing it, in these safe, sound investments so that they could start, preparing for the long term. And these were concepts that were totally new to me. But once I lost everything, that's what really started getting me on the path to learn more about it. Because I was like, I don't want to feel powerless. I want to be empowered. I want to learn everything there is that I can learn about money and not be a victim just because of ignorance, right?
What were your first steps when you decided, okay, I am not going to be spending every single dollar that comes in? Did you start investing first and spending the rest? Or were you still of the mindset, pay your bills and then do whatever with the leftover? I don't like to say leftover because there's no such thing as leftover money. Every dollar should have a job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when I first started, it was still in the mindset, like, let me pay the bills first and then whatever's left over, then I'll invest. Because I guess psychologically that whole experience took a toll on me. So I was like, let me make sure that I never put myself in a position to where, either I can lose everything or the lights could get turned off or anything like that, right? So I said, let me make sure that's taken care of. And then I can focus on the other stuff. But then I realized that some of the most successful financially, a lot of them use the whole pay yourself method, right? Where some would just, off the top, take care of their saving, investment, and their tithing or their charity, right? And then after those things were taken up, then they would go on the necessities and the basic bills and all that. And that totally flipped my understanding of what I was traditionally taught, right? But then once I did that shift, I realized, hey, I'm still surviving. I'm actually still living. Like, it was okay to be able to do those things and put those things in those savings account and build up my emergency fund, which I didn't before, right? And put things into investments and then put things, into tithing and charity. And those things were really important to me. And then I realized that, okay, either my necessities, my expenses, which I thought were necessities where they really weren't, those can actually come down, or I need to do something to raise my income to where I'm able to still continue to live the lifestyle I wanted and be able to take care of those other things at first. And so that's when I started getting more into the entrepreneurship side and doing things on my own to be able to create businesses, to be able to create some additional income for myself.
So, Chris, what investment strategies are you using right now?
I stick with the basics, Mindy. S&P 500 index fund. I put my money in there. Every now and then I might invest in a more volatile stock, but I usually keep it simple with the S&P 500 index fund. And, everybody could choose which S&P 500 index fund or similar one they want to go with. But, one of the goats I used to say, Warren Buffett, he said, listen, when you go with this vehicle, usually you can't go wrong. And that's one of the greatest investors of all time. So I try to stick with that one.
Let's talk about student loan debt. What do you wish you would have known before you took out these loans?
Oh, my goodness, Mindy. I wish I would have known what a student loan actually was, right? Because here you are, 18 years old, on your own, and people are like, hey, you can just get all this money, access to you at your fingertips, and you can just do whatever you want with it, right? And that was my mindset. My mindset was like, okay, I could take out the max. Like, you're saying I can have this much money and I can go on trips and buy clothes and do all these other things with it, right? Because a lot of students, of course it's for your education, but unfortunately a lot of students take out much more than they need, to pay for all these other expenses and things that they really don't need. And I was one of those students. I used to just actually take the extra money and, go to the mall and do some other things with it. But I wish I would have known that this is money that you truly have to pay back. They tell you, it's in black and white. It's on the paper. It said, this is a loan. This is money that you have to pay back. But when you're young, 18, 19 years old, and you're in college, you're like, yeah, I hear that. But all my peers are out there having the best time of their lives with this money, and I want to do the same. So I wish I would have just paid more attention on grants and scholarships, and taking the time to put in the work to get myself in a position to get these scholarships. Because at the time I might have applied for 10, 15 scholarships at the time, and I did get a few, but there were others who were, applying for at least 100 scholarships and way more than they needed. And then these are the ones that were actually getting the results.
Well, let's talk about that. What resources or tools do you recommend for people who want to learn more about these scholarships that are going unclaimed and how to manage their own student loans effectively?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So to start with, many people are familiar with, the company College Board, right? When you think about SAT and that organization. Now, College Board, they have their own scholarship search tool. So even if you just go to College Board and do that scholarship search tool, that's one. Okay. Another thing you can do is you can look at sources like Scholly and Scholarship Owl, and there's so many others. But the thing with these platforms is that you take the time to fill out all your personal information, and it takes a while to fill it out. But the good thing is that once you take all that time to fill out all the detailed information about yourself, they go out and search for these vetted scholarships.
This was super helpful. I have a junior in high school right now. So
awesome.
we're going to start applying. This summer is going to be Scholarship Application City. So that was super helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Chris, what advice would you give to someone who is looking to pursue financial independence?
For someone that's wanting to get on the journey of pursuing financial independence, I would say that find something that you would enjoy doing. Something that there are so many different ways to achieve that goal of financial independence. And some people think that you have to do everything. But my recommendation is just to focus on the one to few things and just do it over, right? Success, a lot of times people think success is doing like all these millions of things, but a lot of times it's just the simple things repeated consistently over a period of time. I would say focus on the vehicle that's going to get you to the destination that you're trying to get to. And once you learn which vehicle you want to get to, study it. Find out what's being effective for others. Find out what's working for others. And then just do what they do, right? I'm sure you've heard the quote that says, success leaves clues. There are so many different people who have achieved certain levels of success, especially when it comes to financial success, that have gotten the results. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just do what they do. And then once you get to the level of success, then if you want to change it up and do it your own way, by all means do that. But don't try to reinvent the wheel if there's already been a proven success track for you.
I love that. Yes, do not try to reinvent the wheel, because I love that phrase, success leaves clues. That's such a great phrase. All right, Chris, thank you so much for your time today. This was so fun. It's always good to talk to you. Where can people find you online?
The easiest way is just to find me on Instagram. Just go to The Finlit Guy. It's THE, Fin, FIN, Lit, LIT, Guy, GUI. And then I have, my links there and everything. But just go to my Instagram. If you're on there, just message me or like one of my posts. I don't care. But I would just love to connect with you, whoever you are, wherever you are. I love talking to people, especially when they're on this journey for themselves. I just love sharing my story with them, because what I found is that the more you share your story, there's someone out there that needs to hear that message. And so there are others who might not want to hear it, but then there are some out there who do not just want to, but need to hear it. So if I can help somebody prevent some of the mistakes and things that I've gone through, by all means, I'm going to make sure I share my story.
I love it. Thank you so much, Chris. And if you like this video, please click the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more videos with inspiring fire stories like Chris's. This is Mindy Jensen signing off.